Hey guys, thanks for joining me here on the comment section. I am Reagan Conrad, and today we have to talk about Facebook's new update. Their lead robot, Mark Zuckerberg, seems to have just had a bit of a program reset. And in his new version, he has transformed into a true American patriot.
I'm upgraded!
Or at least that's what his new settings have been set to. Whether or not those expire in the next 4 years or even work correctly in the meantime remains to be seen. We all know the Mark Zuckerberg of a few years ago. The memes will follow that man until his dying day. I wouldn't be surprised though if he is also now attempting to biohack his way into the next century, which I've just recently learned about and am fascinated by biohacking. But if he does, the memes will continue on regardless of how long he keeps kicking. But in case you need a refresher from the past Mark, here are a few of the best memes. I just had to share because they're so funny. So this first one just says what they see versus what he sees. And it's just him at one of the congressional hearings and then just being a robot, which is exactly what he appears to be. Another one said profile picture versus real life. And then it was Mark Zuckerberg commenting under it saying, oh, nice meme. Congratulations. Your account has been banned for 30 days because he's known as being the man who just bans and restricts everything, which we will be getting into, which is the whole point of this episode. Another meme tweet says, Zuck getting ready to permanently ban your grandma for sharing a meme in her church's cooking group. And just Zuck hovering. And then I had to include this picture as well, even though it's not even a meme here, but something about this photo has always just really stood out to me as being terrifying. I don't know if these people are robots. I thought when I first saw this photo that they were like the meta robots looking like human faces. And then it was just Mark posing in front of them. So I don't know if the humans are also humans because none of them really look real in this photo. Maybe that's the whole point. But Mark specifically looks a certain type of way. Over those last few years, he's been in and out of hearings on things like misinformation or censorship, or creating the metaverse and talking about a future in which we will all go to game nights at our friends' houses, but in a virtual metaverse on a headset, which is terrifying. And I'm not a fan. All of that stuff I think is creepy and weird.
Oh! This ain't bad at all.
Father, I see you're enjoying the metaverse.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So in my book, he's starting at about a negative 100. I am not a fan, and I am very skeptical. But more recently, he has begun to evolve. Most notably, he started dressing like a trendy human being. His complexion also started looking like it actually gets some sunlight rather than just whatever light is reflecting off of a computer screen. I mean, it looks like he started taking vitamins like he should be taking Balance of Nature. Because imagine trying to eat 31 different fruits and vegetables every single day, especially someone as busy as Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, that sounds miserable and very time consuming. With Balance of Nature fruits and veggies, there has never been a more convenient dietary supplement to ensure that you get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables in every single day. Balance of Nature takes fruits and vegetables, they freeze dry them into a little powder and then put them in a capsule. Then you just take your fruit and veggie capsules every day and your body already knows what to do with them. I feel like I always say this, but so many people here at Daily Wire have their little bottles of Balance of Nature just sitting out on their desks to make sure that they're taking their supplements throughout the day. We all love to take them here at the office because we're busy, but we want to make sure that we're still getting our proper nutrition in. So if you want to try Balance of Nature like I do, you can just go to balanceofnature.com and use promo code Conrad for 35% off your first order as a preferred customer, plus you'll get a free bottle of fiber and spice. That's balanceofnature.com, promo code Conrad today to start getting healthier, just like Mark has been getting. And lastly, he started getting really involved in mixed martial arts and started socializing with an increasingly surprising crowd. We have covered part of his evolution on the show in the past, but what happened yesterday confirmed what many have speculated, that Zuck finally wanted to join the cool kids club and actually care about America. I guess the UFC must have really rubbed off on him. Speaking of, just a few days prior to this huge announcement, Meta announced that Dana White was joining Meta's board and excited all of the conservatives because this was a huge move in the right direction, because it's good to have people from all sides of the political aisle on a board like that. So everyone was excited about that. And just a day later, did I say later? I totally said later. And a day later, sorry, back to the script. A day later, Meta posted this article. It says, more speech and fewer mistakes. Interesting. They're acknowledging that perhaps they have made many mistakes in the past, which was accompanied by Zuck's viral video, which we'll be getting into in a second. Now, obviously, I have watched this video before I wanted to show you guys, and I just have to say that it absolutely shocked me. And I say this as someone who, for the first many, many months, if not year of my career here in conservative media, my sole job was to post and oversee a range of Facebook content back in 2021. So I was posting, publishing on the back end. That was literally my entire job. So on the back end, I am all too aware of the censorship and the attempts to limit and restrict the voices, particularly of conservatives. Those were the days before we had any of the big social media mainstream platforms that felt like we had true free speech on them. And so it felt like an uphill battle every single day posting on that platform, making sure that the fact checkers couldn't spin something or a digital filter didn't stop a video before it even got out to the public. So if this all reigns true, it will be huge. And remember, Meta owns Instagram too. So those of you who don't use Facebook out there, this could still apply to you. Zuck classically posted this viral announcement video over on his Facebook page, so I wanted to go watch it there to get the full effect. Because other than my beloved and beautiful Facebook marketplace algorithm, I do not use Facebook. But I was entertained when I saw Zuck's latest profile photo, and so I just had to share that first before we share this video, but I promise we're getting there, we're almost there. This is his current profile photo. These glasses are really, I think, the problem with this photo, particularly because I hate the Ray-Ban Meta collab. I think that having anything in your glasses that you're looking at people is weird and creepy and is just ripe for problems in the future. But I'm old school, I'm old fashioned, whatever, call me that. But what I thought was funniest about this photo was the comment section, interestingly enough, because all of his top comments just looked like a bunch of bots. I mean, they literally all say, nice and very impressive look, very impressive, very impressive. Wow, nice style, the black tea really brings out the smile. Excellent innovation, check mark. Yes, very impressive and nice look, Mark. It's great. Now, let's be honest, because given the way that my comment section has been looking these days, I can't poke fun at his impressive bots. They are hilarious. Which, speaking of, hello to the commenter who will inevitably comment that he is just here for the comments. I see you, man. I feel you. And at least they are entertaining. And to those of you who are accused of being bots simply for being nice to me, I see you too. And I truly, truly thank you.
I appreciate you.
Now, it's about time that we finally watch this announcement video that I have been hyping up, and I want to watch it in full to see exactly what the big deal is and how this will affect the future of social media, and honestly, it could affect the future of democracy. And I'm not being dramatic. Okay, let's watch this. Trust this device? All right. Heck yeah, we made it in. Why did the video not pop up? The fact that I have to prove that I'm not a robot to get into this stupid Facebook and Mark is a robot is very annoying to me. My gosh. Okay.
Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today.
I just want to interrupt because I did watch this video before, and so I did go find the Georgetown speech to see what he said or why he felt it was important to include it in this. He addressed a lot of the nuance and the complexity about having a platform like this on a global scale where you're dealing with real dictators and terrorism and all these things. So I thought that was interesting, but perhaps worth a watch for anyone who wants to see it.
But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people.
It took him several years, but I'm glad that he's finally acknowledging the fact that these low percentage mistakes actually impact millions and millions of people every single day. So I'm glad that he's acknowledging that.
And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US.
This is a big deal. I'm going to get into it later, but this is a big deal.
After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system.
He seems to be a big Elon Musk copycat, but I don't mind in this case at all. I welcome it.
Second, We're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action.
Okay, this is key, and I really want to emphasize and articulate what he's saying here, because posts could get hit with violations not because someone saw the content and was upset by it so much so that they decided to escalate it and report it. Instead, there would be automatic filters that would give you strikes and content violations immediately. So what he's sort of saying now is that people actually have to have a problem with it and report it for whatever the cause, whatever the problem is, and not so some AI robot is automatically going to strike the content before it even sees the light of day.
The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't.
They do.
So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive.
I would love to know how they're working on making the communities friendly and positive, because Trump is about to be sworn into office and like all hell is going to break loose. But I like the idea, because even though we might feel stressed by politics and the political climate and social media as a whole, it's still worth having as an option and wanting to see it if you choose to do that. I mean, again, it's your free will to go on the app. It's your free will to look at certain posts. So allow that to be the case.
We're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas.
It's so comical. Like, why is he doing that? It's one thing if Facebook was moving to Texas, I would get it from a tax regulation standpoint. But the fact that just this particular team that I think was known for being especially a certain political persuasion, they're moving those people to Texas, I don't understand.
So Meta's not moving to Texas?
No.
It's this one group of people?
Yes, so I'm confused by this, but I think it's really funny and he's sort of trolling nonetheless. But also I feel bad for the Texans, because I bet that they don't want these people coming to Texas. Yeah, they already have enough immigration issues to deal with, and now they're getting more Californians through their border, so that's fun.
As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more.
Reminder, this is an American company, so even though they're global, they're Americans first, in theory, so this is cool to hear.
The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years, when even the US government has pushed for censorship.
Calling out Biden in a not so subtle way is wild, given the fact that this is the top dog of Facebook.
By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice.
Have you seen it before?
Mm-mm.
What, do you have any particular thoughts?
I mean, yeah, now's the best time to do it.
Yeah.
It might look like he's kind of hopping on the bandwagon, but
It does. I like when people hop on the bandwagon to a certain degree, but then I'm also suspicious of them on our wagon.
Right.
And if it will impact our wagon in a negative way in the long run. But that remains to be seen. This is all so interesting to me. I mean, at first he agreed to work with the government. Now he's throwing the current administration under the bus, but also willing to work with Trump on different things on a global scale. So it's all this weird evolution. Again, I don't know how to feel about it. I think I like it, but I say that very, very hesitantly. Hopefully, they spend more time removing the problems with human trafficking or child exploitation and less time fighting with a MAGA mom on Facebook who's posting her opinions to her 50 followers. It's all about priorities, and so I hope that they finally get them right. What I don't like and what makes me unsettled about all of this, and at risk of sounding like my judge father, I immediately had the question as to whether or not a move like this is setting a precedent for big tech platforms, that they're just going to ebb and flow with their commitment to free speech depending on who is in power. And that I don't like at all. We have Elon and now Zuckerberg, and I want to be happy about that, but something about it just feels too good to be true. But hopefully my skepticism proves to be unwarranted. Thankfully, what he says appears to reflect his actions so far, because right after this video was posted, I rushed over to our Facebook team to see if they had noticed any changes yet, and sure enough, there were big platform updates already happening within the guidelines. And anyone who's interested can actually go to their transparency center and see these firsthand, but they are literally just redlining everything. After years of dealing with this stuff and seeing this, it is blowing my mind. The audience reaction over on Facebook was predictable. One guy said, calling fact checkers biased. Facts are facts, but clearly some people want to create their own facts. Sadly, I must now consider what your platform now represents. Well, Trevor, here's the thing. Unfortunately, fact checkers can and do manipulate context and truth when they want to restrict a piece of content. I have seen it firsthand. So yes, they can be biased, unfortunately. Facts are facts, yes, but truth can be distorted, especially if those facts could hurt people's feelings. Then watch out. That is, of course, until yesterday. I also saw clips from Zuck's video posted on the Wall Street Journal, and in their comment section on Meta's owned Instagram was also to be expected. Someone said, would he teach his kids not to check facts? Doubt it. No one's saying don't check facts. It's just fact checkers as a term and a thing are not being used appropriately, and that's what he's trying to say here. Moving on. Someone said, there's too much misinformation, so we are going to get rid of fact checkers. Haha, WTF. I'm actually crying on the inside. It's like, I'm trying to teach people that don't be sad about this, because it's not going to just be this lawlessness, like, hellscape. Someone else nicely commented and said, what could possibly go wrong with a nation of people with an average reading level of 8th grade, poor digital literacy skills, and rapidly advancing technology? Oligarchy is here. And I saw many, many comments talking about him as an oligarch or a dictator, or using the words interchangeably because clearly they don't know what any of them mean. But what's most funny to me here is that from the dawn of time, the beginning of civilizations, from the founding especially of this country, citizens didn't have this little fact-checking ability. And yet, we didn't suddenly become this dictatorship and a bunch of mindless civilians who couldn't think for themselves. I mean, that's giving too little credit to the American people or to people as a whole, because we had and can have again open conversations and debate, which should be encouraged. It also weeds out the false and weaker arguments. People have and can and should read books, and journalists did do proper deep dive investigations to sort out the truth. That's what happened in the past and can and should happen again. The irony in these negative comments, especially ones having to do with the government, calling him a dictator, all of that, is that in the case of Meta, or the former Meta as of a couple days ago, they were literally found to be helping the current regime, to use the left's own rhetoric, helping to moderate the content that the government deemed harmful. So in the past, they were working for the regime. That's what's so ironic about this. To be clear, Zuck is not calling for the Wild West and getting rid of every guardrail that they've ever had, but he is clearly moving a hefty amount of the personal responsibility back to the users. Another Instagram user said, I have never seen any fact check on Instagram. Well, sir, first of all, you probably don't see the fact check because you're not ever reading the content that ever goes against the government's narrative. And again, I stress, especially with a concept called fact-checking, it was not always partisan. And the fact-checking tool was just one of many tools being used to limit, ban, or restrict people. And I'm not saying that they were just out there fact-checking everything every single day, but even one story can have an impact. Just take the Hunter Biden laptop story. They buried that thing, only to later acknowledge, after the election, of course, that it was actually true and not Russian disinformation. But by then, it was too late. Another thing to note is that the full truth isn't always known when these stories first get started and first get out there to the public. Don't even get me started about how they treated content about COVID at the time. I mean, this is what caused the outrage and the chaos that has ensued for years over on Facebook. And these frustrations were brought to light by many in the more conservative spheres who continuously watched it happen. And that's also why many of us aren't necessarily celebrating his change of heart, at least at first. One person over on X said, "Can you ever forgive Facebook for blocking key stories and banning everyone who dared to tell you that the clot shot was hurting people badly?" And 82% of the vote said no. Someone else said, "Dana White is going to bring the poke feature back, but now instead of flirting, it's for fighting." Better that than actual physical fighting or civil war, so I'm all for it. Someone else said, "It's remarkable how quickly the entire social media landscape shifts when one platform proves that freedom outperforms control." Someone else like me is questioning things, and he said, "Zuckerberg's pivot to free speech is intriguing, but let's see if it's just another corporate facade." And this one was funny. This tweet says, "Mark Zuckerberg copying all of Elon Musk into his system." Robot Zuckerberg is learning from also robot AI master Elon. And this meme is just great. Another comment said, "I have a feeling it's just going to be fact-checking again, but they'll just pretend it's community notes so it seems more trustworthy. I feel they're too embedded with special interest groups to allow that to work as well as it does on X." And these are all fair questions. And again, everything remains to be seen. Hopefully, the Facebook team will reallocate their resources and spend exceedingly more time focused on the type of content policing that is actually needed on the platform. Crimes like human trafficking and child pornography and exploitation. It sickens me to think about the level of monitoring of speech and yet the amount of real crimes and real threats to public safety reported that fell through the cracks over the years. Meta does have a real chance here to get back on track, to reverse course, to give power back to the people to use common sense and logic to discern fact from fiction. And perhaps to slap on a hilarious community note if people miss the context or don't get that something is not real. Only time will tell if this has all just been a glitch in his system, if he is getting back to his roots and cares about freedom, or if he has just been temporarily pleasing an angry populace. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. If you want more content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video if you enjoyed it, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thanks so much and have a great day.